is the all-new iPhone 16 and this is last year's iPhone 15. Which one should you buy? For this, I have been testing the iPhone 16 and the iPhone 15 side by side, and one thing I can tell you right away is that these phones are quite similar if you're not a tech nerd like me. And the most interesting thing is right now you can get the iPhone 15 for as low as 55,000 in the ongoing Diwali sale, while the iPhone 16 costs a solid 80,000 rupees. So is that 25,000 price difference justifiable, or are you better off with the iPhone 15 instead? Anyway, one thing you need to know is that this year's Pro lineup, the iPhone 16 Pro and the 16 Pro Max's pre-booking numbers are quite low, but seems like people are actually liking the iPhone 16 and the 16 Plus as it has significantly better pre-order numbers. And availability is not a problem with the regular iPhone 16 models too. You can even get it delivered within 10 minutes from quick commerce like Blinkit. Whereas you have to wait for more than 2 weeks or even a month in some cases for the Pro models. The reason people are loving the new iPhone 16 so much is probably because of the new color options. They all look so attractive. If you remember last year with the regular iPhone 15, everyone joked saying Apple ran out of ink and hence the iPhone 15s were so pale, but it seems like Apple refilled the ink this year. This particular color, aquamarine blue, is such an eye candy. It's a fan favorite. The camera module is also placed vertically this time for spatial video recording support, and yes, there's the infamous, much hyped camera button too. Now, if you have watched my review of the iPhone 16 Pro Max, you exactly know how unuseful I think it is. Anyway, the mute switch that we had on the iPhone 15 is gone now, and we have the action button on the regular iPhone 16 just like on the Pro models. Now, to be honest, I thought I would customize it to use some other function, but I still use it to mute my phone, and that's it. On the display, Apple has now used a 2 times tougher ceramic shield on the iPhone 16 versus the iPhone 15, which means the iPhone 16 is more drop resistant. But do remember, Apple does not claim it to have better scratch resistance, so it's better you put a screen protector on. Other than that, their designs feel the same. It's the same soft satin back material, aluminum frames, little thick bezels, and dynamic island on the front. Matter of fact, if not for the camera button, these phones actually feel exactly the same. And yes, both of them are IP68 rated against dust and water too. Now, over onto the display, again, there isn't much difference. It's like Apple took the same panel from the iPhone 15 and pasted it onto the iPhone 16. And I can't believe we are still getting a 60 Hz display in 2024 on the iPhone 16. Before this, I was using the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and switching to this, I could instantly feel that little lag while opening the app or in the animation when you see the dynamic island or switching between tabs. The only thing that's changed on the iPhone 16 is the brightness levels. The iPhone 15 could go as bright as 1650 nits in the auto brightness mode, but the iPhone 16 can reach around 1700 nits. And hence, the display on the iPhone 16 is visibly brighter, especially outdoors. And the iPhone 16 can go really dim as well, dimmer than the iPhone 15. So it's been a little easier for me to watch Instagram Reels all night. The PWM flickering on both the phones is still the same, so it's most likely that you will suffer from headaches if you're sensitive to screen flickering like me. Besides that, except for the slow 60 Hz display, the core quality of both these screens is just top-notch, from the color reproduction to contrast levels, touch response, everything. Although I have to tell you, Apple has slightly improved the quality of the speakers this time. The treble sound a little more defined on the iPhone 16 versus the iPhone 15. It's a marginal difference, but it's noticeable. The haptics and everything is basically the same though. Alright, moving on, probably the biggest difference you will find this year is in the performance side of things. Usually, Apple likes to include older chipsets in their regular iPhone models, but this time we have a brand new A18 chip powering the iPhone 16, which is a big leap from the A16 Bionic that we get on the iPhone 15. It's a tad bit behind the A18 Pro on the Pro models, especially in the GPU department, but the performance the iPhone 16 provides, it's just top-notch. If you look at the benchmark numbers, the stability score, everything is just better on the A18 versus the A16. And even on my gaming tests, I found the iPhone 16 giving me slightly better results stability-wise in demanding games like Genshin Impact. Playing mid-tier games like PUBG was a similar experience on both of these phones though, mostly because of the limitation of this 60Hz screen. You cannot play games in high FPS on either of these phones here. But I guess that extra power comes with its own disadvantages because the iPhone 16 actually heats up by a couple of degrees more in comparison to the iPhone 15. I ran Antutu a few times on both of these phones and you can see how the iPhone 16 is warmer almost every time. Apple says they have included a larger graphite sheet in the regular iPhone 16 models, but because of the more powerful chipset and a compact form factor, it gets slightly more warm in comparison. Software-wise, both of these phones run on iOS 18 currently, and there are a few welcome changes here, like being able to customize the home screen and app lock, etc. But probably the biggest change is that the new iPhone 16 has support for Apple Intelligence, while the iPhone 15 does not. And this is also the reason why Apple has included extra RAM on the iPhone 16 to be able to process all that AI stuff on device. Of course, all the Apple Intelligence features are not available yet. They will arrive later in select regions and much later in Asia. But even when they arrive, it's only the iPhone 15 Pro and the iPhone 16 series that are going to support it. In any case, with the inclusion of a more power-efficient 3nm chipset and a slightly larger battery, I have been getting better battery life on the iPhone 16 versus the iPhone 15, almost like 45 minutes of extra screen on time, which means on normal usage, the iPhone 16 actually lasts me for an entire day, where the iPhone 15 usually would give up on me during late evenings. Apple has also upgraded the MagSafe charging this time to 25 watt versus 15 watt in the iPhone 15, but wired charging remains the same. It takes both the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 16 to go from 0 to 30% in 15 minutes, 50% in 30 minutes, while the iPhone 16 takes 5 minutes longer than the iPhone 15 for a complete recharge. Okay, I know you guys have been waiting for me to talk about the cameras, and here, if you are looking for an upgrade, sadly, you're not getting much here. It's basically the same camera setup on the iPhone 16 as that of the iPhone 15, similar hardware, the same optimization, everything. The good news is, number one, the ultra-wide-angle lens on the iPhone 16 has autofocus now, so you can take some good, cool macro images from it. And number two, the new iPhone 16 supports spatial video recording, and that's basically it. When I compared the iPhone 15 and 16's cameras, I could barely find differences in images from the primary lens. You can see slight variation in colors, but apart from that, nothing. The portraits come out similar too, with an option for 2x digital cropping, and besides the skin tone, mostly everything looks pretty similar. Even the selfies look all the same except for slightly better shadow processing on the iPhone 16. The only legit difference I could see was a bit better glare management on the iPhone 16, both during daytime as well as nighttime, and because the ultra-wide-angle lens has a bigger aperture, the ultra-wide-angle images come out slightly brighter and somewhat sharper. Else, things are one and the same here, including the videography side of things as well. Unlike the iPhone 16 Pro, the regular iPhone 16 does not get 4K 120 FPS support, so the max resolution you can shoot at is 4K 60 FPS from both the front and the back, and the output again is pretty similar. Even I couldn't nitpick. However, this one feature on the iPhone 16 could be a deal breaker for vloggers and content creators. It's called Audio Mix, which basically gives you different options to enhance the audio after you shoot videos, and it's super effective. So with this, content creators don't need to invest in expensive microphones anymore. It's built in on the iPhone 16. Finally, I also wanted to touch upon the repairability side of things because, well, Apple made a big fuss about how this year's iPhones provide greater flexibility in terms of repairs. Even iFixit has given a higher repairability score to the iPhone 16, which is very good news. But funnily enough, still the repair costs for the new iPhones are the same. I was actually hoping that Apple would decrease the cost considering the ease of repair on the newer models, but no. You still have to pay a pretty hefty amount for iPhone repairs. Anyway, since the iPhone 16 is a newer model, you will get the latest Wi-Fi protocols here, Wi-Fi 7 on the iPhone 16 versus Wi-Fi 6 on the older iPhone 15. So you can expect better Wi-Fi connectivity if you have the compatible router. Other Bluetooth connectivity and everything else is the same here. So coming back to my initial question, which one should you buy in 2024, the iPhone 15 or the iPhone 16? Well, the change in design, the performance, wireless charging speeds, a little bit in the camera department, and the inclusion of Apple Intelligence, it might look like a compelling idea to get the iPhone 16, but trust me, in real life usage, these upgrades don't actually mean a lot. I have used the iPhone 15 for an entire year, and switching to the iPhone 16, it does not feel like much has changed. The A16 chip is just as powerful, the cameras are just as good, and the display is the same on the iPhone 15 as well. Yes, if you absolutely want Apple Intelligence and the audio mix feature, you can pay the premium, but you can take my word for it, it's not going to be that big a change. I would rather get the iPhone 15 and spend the remaining money out on a nice holiday, sitting on a beach and enjoying the moment, and not using this camera button at all. Alright everybody, with this we've come towards the end of this video, and let me know if you agree with my verdict in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you would like to watch awesome gadget reviews. Saying this, I'm Pratima and I will be back with a next video.